If Hahn's victory had been freely forecast, his successor in the 1908 Games in London was a most unlikely champion. Reg Walker was a 19-year-old filing clerk from Durban, 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighing barely 125 pounds. The South African Olympic Committee thought him far too young and frail to make their team, so friends raised £100 for his return seafare. With additional help from the wily old professional coach Sam Musabini, when he arrived in England, young Walker set out to justify their faith. London was to prove the first of the truly modern Olympic Games. It was efficiently organised in under 2 years, with all the wealth and confidence of Edwardian England. The newly built White City was a magnificent venue, but the Games were nevertheless marred by bitterness which developed between British officials and American athletes over the interpretation of international rules. But even these disputes were overshadowed by the most amazing marathon in Olympic history. The little Italian pastry cook, Dorando Pietri, was disqualified after receiving attention from doctors when he collapsed just before the finish. Pietri eventually staggered over the line, only to discover later the race had been awarded to second man home, John Jefferson Hayes of the United States. While the disputes raged and other events drew massive crowds to the White City, Reg Walker was preparing quietly and intelligently for his 100 meters test, clinging to an exotic diet of boiled lamb chops for breakfast, roast beef and milk pudding for lunch, and fish and toast for dinner. But the overwhelming favourite remained America's James Rector, who equalled the Olympic record of 10.8 seconds in a heat and the semi-final. With no Englishman to support, the home crowd cheered for their colonial cousin. In the final, Reg Walker justified their confidence. He led from the gun. He was caught and passed by Rector. He worked his way back at the American, and in the last 20 metres he took the victory his public was demanding. Gold medals were awarded for the first time at these Games. Walker wore his with pride. In Durban, they declared an unofficial Reg Walker Day. There was a flurry of parties, parades and presentations. His future was assured, or so it seemed. But in the event, his triumph was quickly forgotten, and he was reduced to living on handouts. After 2 years of precarious charity, he decided to become a professional. South Africa, with her eyes on the Olympics of 1912, reacted indignantly. But the stubborn Walker had made up his mind. He joined the professionals for a short and unrewarding career, and after the Great War settled in Manchester, where he worked once more as a clerk. He died back in his native Durban in 1952.